Hey, Simon here. I'm doing a quick start guide for people who've picked up the game and want to get into it quickly. Obviously playing through the tutorial is important and you should do so, but this will give you a quick guide through kind of the core functions of the game and how to get started without having to worry too much. So here I'm starting a standard exploration game, not one of the missions or scenarios. So I've got my colonists here and I need to pick them. The first thing to do is just look for any useful skills, so construction, emergency medicine, anything to do with building things early on in the game is very handy. Medicine is also very handy always. But every skill has a use and will change the game in some way. So I'm going to pick Wyndham, I will pick Clark, I'll pick Baker, and I think I will pick Stapleton because they have cooking, which will also come in handy. Don't worry too much if you don't get a good amount of skills. These are very subtle things that change the way the game works. So let's get into the game. So the first thing to do is don't panic, and I know it's a Hitchhiker's Guide reference, but really it is quite true here. We've got a lot of time to get going on the base, and I know a lot of players, they rush, they build loads of things, the base goes get a bit chaotic, people start dying. So first of all, I'm just going to mark out a new room to build. So I'm going to get my imp to dig out this area. And decent sized rooms are good. There's lots of different ways you can build your rooms and stuff, but I generally build it in a kind of a grid. But you can actually connect all your rooms up, which can be beneficial because of heat loss. So now my imp's digging. I need to get building, so we're going to build a workshop. So you can click and drag a workshop. You can also double click just to flood fill a room if you want to build them quickly and you're just building a square anyway. I'm going to place a door and another door here. So key thing is a workshop table, which is obviously where they'll be building things, and a microwave smelter, which turns raw materials into building materials. A nanoscale 3D printer, which will allow us to print new robots, specifically the imps. At this time, we'll just leave it at that. Now outside, I'm going to place some portable solar arrays. These can be placed super quickly, so it's handy to get a couple of them up. Then I'm going to place a wind turbine, which will get built slightly slower as it needs the workshop table and the other things to be built. I'm also just going to look around my base, see what I've got out here, look at my map. So if I zoom out, I can see that there are some creatures near my base. I'm not too worried about these at the moment. They look juvenile and they're not coming towards my base. I'll go back to my base. I might just set these plants to be destroyed by right-clicking them. Plants obviously grow, they'll spread seeds and things around. We don't want to get the entrance to our base blocked up too much. I'm also going to set them to disassemble this crew vehicle, and we'll get some more building materials from this. So the key thing to worry about in the early game is cold and air. If you zoom in on your colonists in the base, you'll see that, well, they're all outside at the moment, but they'll have breath that shows up if they're in a cold room. You can also see the temperature of the room on the side of the room. So you can see 12 degrees C, and this room is only under 10 degrees C. So if you're American, degrees centigrade are a way of measuring temperature accurately instead of Fahrenheit. 10 degrees is cold, 20 degrees is room temperature, 30 degrees is quite warm. The human body is 37 degrees, and the surface of the human skin is 36 degrees. So if you mouse over the colonists, you can see if their body temperature is high or low, depending on that. That's really all you need to know. So if your room's below 10 degrees, it's cold. As you can see, this colonist's breath showing. So we know this room is cold. So to stop colonists dying of hypothermia, we can just place a radiator in any room. So this is a space heater. Also, while I'm in here, I'm going to place a condenser. A lot of people have been missing these and wondering why their colonists are dying of thirst in the early game. So a condenser will go on the wall and it will condense water from the air and produce drinking water. So you see this timer has come down in the corner of the screen. It is now at 0 seconds, so I can click this, and call in some new colonists. During the game, you really want to make sure you keep an eye on this and keep your colonist levels high. Your colonists get tired, and if you try and build your entire starter base just with 4 colonists, they're going to get extremely tired very quickly.
Low temperature warning in workshop.
So you can see I'm starting to get low temperature warnings. The game will tell you what you need to do. You need to listen to it as much as possible. So I'm going to build an atmosphere generator in my storage room. This will produce air for the base, and it will also heat the base. You need to remember that anything that uses electricity in the game will also generate heat, as everything's simulated, and that heat will move around the base. Rock faces like this, these will absorb heat, dependent on the ambient temperature of the rocks around your base, which changes per mission, but it's generally about 8 to 10 degrees, which is enough to make your colonists very cold. So in here I'm going to build my hydroponics, which is where we're going to start growing our food. A lot of people kind of rush to build the hydroponics. You don't need to worry about it too much. Food is quite a long-term consideration compared to atmosphere. However, as you can see, our colonists are building our atmosphere generator quite quickly. You don't need to prioritize. Objects when you're building them. However, you can, if you really want to, you can just middle click and that object's now prioritized and it was flashing. The colonists themselves have a very complicated system for picking what they want. They have their own wants and needs, but they can also know what the base needs, and they can also make subtle predictions in the future of what they will need. And so often the colonists may even be better at you than knowing what they need. So outside we can see all our stuff's built. Our imp is now going out to tear down these plants. So to get the hydroponics going, we need to build propagators. I'm just going to wait for the colonists to finish the room. There we go. So propagators grow seeds, and then seeds can be planted in planters. I'm going to build 2 propagators just so, for the sake of this tutorial, so I can get going quickly. In this room we'll also want some lights, so I'm going to go in and place some lights. I'll place some work lights. So when things grow, they take light, and the energy from the light becomes energy in the food through photosynthesis, and that's simulated. So you really need to consider putting lights right next to where you're going to be growing things, ensure they get enough light to grow. So now our nanoscale printer has been rushed. We can print a new imp. You can see we've got a colonist standing by a radiator to warm themselves up. This means they might have slight hypothermia. You can see on their stats, it doesn't actually say they have hypothermia, so you don't have to worry too much. This room will warm up once all this electrical stuff is built. With electrical stuff potentially being hazardous, if it's not maintained, you can have fires and things. So first of all, we want to build some repair robots. We don't want to waste colonists' time on repairs, so we're going to build 2 repair robots, and we're going to build a firefighting robot. We're going to build it in here and keep it in here.
Earthquake warning.
So we've got an earthquake coming in. This would have caused a cave-in, but luckily our base is already built around here, so damage is probably minimal. Colonists, of course, can become injured just by the earthquakes themselves, but in this case I think we're alright. You can see the energy that the propagators are using is actually heating up the room, and then we'll click these to get them going. So here we've got another colonist choice pop up. Again, we can see we've got two different colonists. Both have construction, which is handy. This guy has firefighting. Really, it's a toss-up between these two. This one's prone to depression, which obviously later in the game might be an issue, whereas this one is a pessimist but cheerful. I'll pick the one with just more skills for the moment. So now we have this room going. As we have electrical items in here, it's worthwhile building a circuit breaker on the wall. The circuit breaker detects any short circuits and will prevent fires in work lights and atmosphere generators and other things that are prone to catching fire if they're not maintained. So instead of catching fire, there's a chance that the circuit breaker will detect the broken circuit and just trip that, and the whole room will trip out. But it will save you from having dead colonists, so that's worthwhile having. So in here I'm going to plant potatoes, which are low in vitamins and nutritionally awful. However, they are very high in calories compared to the other things. But we've got carrots as well that can be planted. The key thing is not to worry about planting loads and loads and loads of stuff. We have quite a lot of food at the start of the game in these ration packs. If you look at your manifest, you'll see we've got 2 days estimated, but obviously humans can live for literally weeks without food. The key thing to note is when colonists are colder and tireder, they use more energy. So you can see this colonist is a bit traumatized and a bit cold and tired, so sitting on the ground, which will also make him even colder. And rubbing his eyes. So you need to look out for this. So we clearly need to be building. We need to be building a living area for them, so they can have beds, so they can get some sleep. We should look at our emails now. So as you'll see as we're playing, these emails will build up. They're not just flavor text. They'll tell you everything you need to know. So this colonist is out of breath and his chest hurts, so that doesn't bode well. They have enough food, and they need building materials. And the rest is just getting slightly insane, but that's okay for the moment. We can see that our power grid is about to be taken out, but that will hopefully be temporary. We'll look at our power generation. So we have an advisory to build more power generation. And our colonists are building skills in construction, so this means they'll be faster and better at construction. And this one too. And we can scroll back and see older things. So we have creatures migrating closer to our base, which means we might want to put in some defenses soon. We've got some very depressed colonists, and they're complaining about a lack of beds. And the hydroponics is a concern for her, and they're talking about repairs. So we've got the repair robots now. Got a lot of colonists starting to get a bit upset, waiting for beds. So as there's snow on the ground and it's dark, our solar panels obviously won't generate any electricity. So another wind turbine might be useful. We're going to build it slightly further away this time. And as you can see, there are more plants growing around the base, so it's good to continually keep removing them if you can. So to make plants grow faster, you can give them a boost of nitrates. However, doing so over and over again will cause them to rot. So just do it once or twice. As with the other room, we should build a condenser on the wall so colonists don't die of thirst if they're very busy. once we have enough food going, this won't really matter because you can actually get most of your water on a daily basis from your food. And that's true in real life. You don't need to drink 8 cups of water a day or 2 litres. That's completely excessive unless you're doing sports. Right, so we've cooled down another bunch of colonists. And now I've spotted that we have a geothermal vent. So here we can place a geothermal generator which will give us a baseline load on our grid, which will be handy because this will never increase or decrease like the wind turbines. We'll just get a flat measure of power, which will be fantastic as the renewables go up and down a lot. Right, so we want to build a living area. So this time I'm just going to double click. So you see it fills out the room quickly. And I'm going to build a door. I think in this case I'm going to build 2 beds. I'm going to build a food preparation station. You want to build one of these for every 4 or so colonists. So I'm actually going to build 2 of them, and I'm going to build a table for them to eat at. Toilet, I'm going to leave. In fact, no, I'll put a toilet in. Why? Let's not torture them. Yeah, I think a toilet is probably the most useful thing we could put in. Later on we'll want to put things like lights, a couch, more entertainment-y stuff. So our robots can be handy too in first person. If you've seen this atmosphere generator, it's kind of in the way of the flow of the space, as are these water barrels. So I can get my imp robot, either click this or press tab to go to first person. So I can pick this up, move it nice out of the way. Same with the water barrels, just move these out of the way. So I've had a colonist decide he wants to give the imp robots free will. I'd rather not at the moment, so I'm going to click no to that. And my imp has now walked off. I'm going to keep picking up these water barrels and moving them. Right, so now I need to think about the expansion of my base again. I'm going to build a door on here and maybe a double door just for easier flow of people. Let's check my emails, see what my colonists are saying. Oh, this is a new skill popped up. So colonists are asking for turrets. They want more repairs done, and it's complaining about another storm coming in. So let's have a look. You can see that the colonists are building the food preparation station. So with all these earthquakes on this map, I want to be building a medical as soon as possible in case people get injured. I'll also check my map, see what's going on. So there's a wildfire going on outside, but it's now raining, so I assume that's gone out. And there are more creatures outside my base. But luckily none of the larger alien creatures, so I'm not too worried about that for the moment. Right, so here we've got a colonist following up on their report of wanting beds, and they're happy because we've built them, so that's good. It shows to them that we know what we're doing. and it will help their morale.
Base.
So here's 2 people. We've got a leadership in game theory.
Living area.
I think either of those people are pretty much fine. I'll select one randomly. So now the base is working pretty well. We've only got 1 wall screen up. We could do with these in every room, so they can give us more information. And we've got our first injured colonist. So we need to think about helping these. So we need our imp robots to hurry up and get this dug out. Apparently our base perimeter is compromised, so we need to check and see if there are any aliens. It's making a lot of burrows around here. What we can do is we can place mining explosives and just destroy their burrows, and it will force them to go further away. Or we can shoot them with a turret, or poison them, or we can place lures to either bring them in towards the turrets or to keep them away from our base for a more vegan approach. Talking about vegan approaches, our chickens are currently roaming the base. Later in the game, we'll obviously want to build a livestock containment, but they'll be okay just wandering about for the moment. You can see people are petting the dogs and things. One of the things with our dogs is we can give them orders to move closer to the airlock. So if aliens do come into the base, the dogs will scare them away. And if we do get any bugs in the base, our cats maybe might try and eat that, but the cat really, you can't make cats do things. That's not how they work. Right, so we want to build our medicine.
Online in workshop.
Obviously there's going to be medically vulnerable people in here, so we want a warm room. So we need a scanner which diagnoses people. We need a medical dispenser which gives people the treatments that they need, and then the bed. I haven't really planned this very well, never mind. So they detect their illnesses here, they get their treatment here, and then they rest here. The intravenous drip
Construction.
provides them with nutrients, so they won't starve to death while they're recovering. Put 2 doors on, and like I said, we want this room to be warm, we want it to have lots of atmosphere, so we're going to put a radiator space heater on the wall,
Low temperature warning.
and it's looking good.
Medical.
As you can see, this room is doing well, although they still need to build this work light. If you see these door frames incomplete, these can be built without any materials, so they're very quick to build, and then the colonists can come back later and build the doors. Obviously the empty door frames don't stop air flowing between rooms, so if you have a base with air problems, that can be an issue. But in that case, you just need to make sure you have more building materials. So you might need another microwave smelter, or colonists with skills that can double load the smelter. So construction and material skills. So we've got another colonist who's cold here, but she doesn't have hypothermia. As you can see, I haven't had to prioritize anything. They are getting stuff done. I might just prioritize the stuff in the medical room, but since there are colonists who are sick, they should prioritize anyway. I'm just going to move the scanner because it's a bit sticking out the wall. Maybe somewhere like here might be better. Just double check. Right, so yeah, we've got a standard basic base going with no issues. We'll check our emails. So we have a hurricane. So we're going to be losing wind generation during the hurricane. And they're still overwhelmed with repairs. So that's no problem. We can start building more repair robots. The repair robots can be quite slow. We should also build a cleaning bot. Now that the base is fine and chugging along, the cleaning bot can start cleaning up all these little footprints that you see being tracked in off the mud and all around the base. You can see our storage is quite empty at the moment. We don't have a lot of things stored. However, the food preparation stations are getting a lot. And you can see we've got 1 day's food estimated, which is reasonably good. And we have no building materials. So it might be, in this case, worth building a second microwave smelter. I think that will be good. If you want to build stuff and you don't want to cycle through the things, you can always press the number keys or just middle click on the menu and you'll get a selection thing. So I want to build a bunch of uplighters in here to make this room look like a nice little entrance area. So the lights of your base are important to consider. Colonists don't like living in the dark. Different colours lights will change their emotions in a different way. The light hitting plants will affect them differently. So for instance, a kind of a reds and purples are actually more likely to give them the energy they need, as plants are obviously green, because that shows what light gets reflected back off them. So the reds and blues get absorbed by plants, whereas the green light is bouncing off them. So you can actually save energy just by setting the colour of your lights to the only ones the plants use. As you can see, these potatoes are doing well. They're generating a lot of food. And we're starting to get our medical room up and running. So we've hit a limit here. So we've got a colonist. He wants to send some of his music. So we obviously picked a musician. Well, actually, no, we didn't. So this will be extra bad. So we can have a listen to this. Yep, it's quite horrible. But not as bad as some of the poetry they said. But as you can see, it shows that our colonists are slightly insane, and we should probably start thinking about making the base nice to live in. This colonist just pulled out a gun, but put it away, so that's not the best sign. I'll continue just clearing away the roots that keep popping up here and growing new plants. Sometimes it is actually useful to allow the plants to grow. If you notice here, we've got desert forming and we have more green solid ground here. It can be useful to keep the ground solid for reasons. However, desert ground is less likely to burn, but it does flood more. So grass and other things will stabilize it and turn the ground green eventually. As you can see here, I think I missed it before, but these are burnt tree trunks, so we did have a fire. So I think this land actually started a fire when we came down. I won't set that to leap, but I might set this one to leap to get more building materials. So yeah, we don't have the max colonists, but we can't call them down yet because we don't have a completed base. So we need to start getting our other rooms in. But yeah, this base is going. No one's dying. A few people injured. No one's built the scanner yet, but I assume that's on the way. And I can see colonists cheering and they look happy. People eating and preparing food. People going out to disassemble this. I've also noticed that we actually have another geothermal vent here, but our base is actually fine for energy now. So what we might want to do is build another storage room and build some flywheel energy storage. But for the moment, I will just place one in here. And later we'll build a fully one, as we're just trying to create a little demo map to show you how to play. So someone's built the medicine dispenser, but we're still waiting on that scanner. Someone's loaded this, and we can click it to get it going straight away. So we don't have to wait. We've got a lot of colonists limping now.
Progress reports are mandatory.
This colonist here in a white kind of blue shirt, this is the guy with medicine skills. Yeah, he has emergency medicine, so he may be able to treat some of the people who are walking around injured. Well, that obviously depends on how busy he is. Let's see what our colonists are saying. Right. Okay, this guy clearly has a broken leg or some kind of bad wound like that. And they are still complaining about the turrets. We have a very aggressive set of colonists in this base today. So we will place a turret for them. I'm going to build it right next to the base. Oops, I've pulled up another menu. I'll just reset that while I'm here.
Low temperature warning in base.
So our colonists have disassembled this lander and now heading back to the base. So as treatment of our colonists is a higher priority, I'm just going to increase the importance of the scanner. The colonists will usually do what's sensible, but they might not want to do what you want them to do.
New equipment online in workshop.
So we look at our colonists here, we can see that they're all still in the green, so none of them are injured or in too bad a shape despite limping around. They're not immediately about to die. So we have a meteor out here that's come down. We can mark this for research, but we won't do that at the moment. We do want to start researching stuff in a while, as that will allow us to... no, this guy just wants to cancel the imp orders so imps don't get crushed if an earthquake happens, but I don't really care too much about that happening right now. I'm going to place a door on here, and a door here right by the beds. It's probably going to be a bit annoying for anyone who's sleeping. They might complain about it, but...
New equipment online in medical.
So there are a lot of small optimizations you can make in your base. A lot of objects have click interactions, so you can see someone's loaded these up, and the imps can do this, and actually you can do this in first person as the imp, so you can get the smelters going ahead of time, get the building materials ready, so when the people come up to them they'll be able to get the building materials out quicker. Someone's built the scanner now, so our colonists will start getting diagnosed. Obviously if your repair robots are not repairing what you want them to, and you're seeing people like go outside for instance to repair stuff, do just grab your robots, take them out of the airlock, and just start repairing stuff yourself. Be careful when repairing stuff, as you can set stuff on fire with the welder, as someone in our Discord found and murdered all their colonists by accident. Just gonna exit that. I'll leave him outside. Obviously, you can give move orders to robots as well. So if you want them to be somewhere, you can tell them. Same with the dogs. They don't always listen, but right. So my base is going well. I'm gonna prioritize the drip. They have materials now, so that they'll fill out these doors, and we've not had any fires. Remember that you can turn off individual items to save energy, and if you want to turn whole rooms on and off, you can use the circuit breaker. Every room has its own room settings, so you can, you know, lock whole doors and stuff at once, but also lock the whole room. Oops. Problem with the recording, so I'm not quite looking what I'm doing. But yeah, every room has settings that are worth setting and looking at. If you want to remember who's who, and you don't quite remember the names, you can also set cool names, so it's now when I... Oh, where'd that column go? Oh, there you go. Oh, that's just not leave all my doors locked. So colonists are seeking treatments, and now they'll go use the medical bed and other people being diagnosed. So let's look at the diagnosis. Someone has high blood pressure. So they'll slowly get treated and stop limping around the base, which is good. So now our colonists are doing well. We should probably start looking at doing our research, build a research room, start gathering data, build a command and control room so we can give colonists specific jobs that they'll be much higher prioritized in doing. We'll build a livestock containment so the chickens will stop messing around in our base. We'll want to build more ornation on the walls, wall screens. We may want to start looking at airflow. So this room is getting these low temperature warnings, so we might just put a heater in here as well. Or we might dig this out, build air vents on the walls, and blast air through the base. The air vents can be controlled in multiple directions as well, so you can specify an airflow direction.
Solar event warning. Electrical grid disrupted.
So this is a solar flare hitting the surface and disrupting. There's nothing we can really do about these apart from later in the game we can do more research and protect against these better. The area outside my base is slowly becoming more and more desert. Obviously drier ground is prone to burning as well, which can be a bit of an issue. So I should probably not obsessively clear these areas too much, apart from just around my base to make sure my colonists can get in and out. If colonists do go to the airlock and then turn around again, it's likely that they've been blocked. They might say so when you go over an item and see an attempted build. So it looks like we might have another earthquake coming in. We've got our power storage built now. We'd probably want an array of 3 or 4 of these to hold back bad power losses, a whole room of them, or supercapacitors later in the game. We also, considering the flow of people through our workshop, might want to build another workshop or another workshop table, as things are getting built quite slowly now for the size of the base. But yeah, I hope this has been a helpful guide. Do just drop into the Discord and ask any questions if you are having problems setting up your basic base. This is obviously just getting started. We've got several more rooms to build, dozens and dozens of more items that we can build in every room, lots of different ways that we can tweak and modify things in our base and create new behaviors. I haven't even really scratched the surface here, but yeah, have fun and let me know how you get on. I'll see you later. Bye.